Positive Anime Reviews is a review show that is designed for people who aren't very picky about their anime, like me. Most anime I watch ends up in my 5 out of 5 category. My reviews are for those people who are looking for a reason to watch anime rather than hate on it. I am willing to give any and all anime a chance before stating my opinion. Lastly, my reviews are all my opinion and might and or most likely won't match yours. If you don't agree, that's totally fine. Just be respectful in the comments section. Thank you. And as always, possible spoiler warning ahead. Hey guys, Darklord here, back with another positive anime review. Today we will be talking about Black Lagoon, and then of course the second season, Black Lagoon: The Second Barrage. So, this is an anime that I have seen before, and but I am having to rewatch all of the anime that I've ever seen, based upon, because I have to redo reviews. I have to do a review for it. I have to reevaluate my score. In fact, the anime that I am now watching after I finish Black Lagoon is also an anime I've seen before, but I found out fairly recently that it had a sequel in the form of a movie. And at the time, I really liked it, but the score got a little bit, got dipped to a 4 out of 5 at the time, because I thought that was it. But now that I know that there's a sequel, now I want to rewatch it. And plus, it's been so many years since I watched so many there's so many anime that I watched years and years and years and years ago that I gave whatever score I gave it, that now I have to rewatch it just to see if I've changed my mind. So, it's an interesting thing. But regardless, today we are talking about Black Lagoon. So, that's the reason why it took so long. It's because this anime, because I misspoke in one of my parts for one of my videos. I said that the second season had 24 episodes. Well, this one is phrased weird because the first season has 12 episodes. Second season also has 12 episodes, but in second season they call it episode 13, and then of course it ends on 24. And so I thought it had 24 in the second season, but it doesn't. It just hits 13 and goes on, so it threw me off. But anyway, not the point. So, of course, today we were talking about Black Lagoon. Let me just open our little cheat sheet here. Okay, so we are talking about Black Lagoon. This anime aired in the spring season of 2006, so obviously it has been a hot minute since this anime has been on, but of course everyone knows this anime. It's incredibly popular. Everyone knows it, so there's a reason why it's popular. Now, there is a dub. Absolutely, there is a dub. Now, I preferred the sub, and I did check out the dub a little bit. The dub isn't bad. The dub is not bad. But I didn't like some of the voices as much as I liked the. I didn't like some of the voices as much as I liked the sub. So I preferred the sub, but the dub isn't bad. So you could check it out, and if you do, I don't blame you for it. So this is an adaptation from a manga. The manga obviously goes farther than the anime does at the end of the second season, but this is an adaptation from a manga. So, of course, we will be starting off with the synopsis. That'll be the best way to sum up everything rather than me having to describe what this all is. So, here we go. Within Thailand is, and I'm going to crush this, Ronapur? Ronapur. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but yeah, and plus with my stutter, it's so hard to say. Anyway, a depraved, crime-ridden city where not even the authorities or churches are untouched by the claws of corruption. A haven for convicts and degenerates alike, the city is notorious for being the center of illegal activities and operations, often fueled by local crime syndicates. Enter, heavens above, Rokuro Okajima, I think we got there, an average Japanese businessman who has been living a dull and monotonous life when he finally gets his chance for a change of pace with a delivery trip to Southeast Asia. His business trip swiftly goes downhill as Rokuro is captured by a Japanese group operating in Ronapur called Black Lagoon. The group plans to use him as a bargaining chip in negotiations, which ultimately failed. Now abandoned and betrayed by his former employer, Rokuro decides to join Black Lagoon. In order to survive, he must quickly adapt to his new environment and prepare himself for the bloodshed and tribulation to come. A non-stop, high-octane thriller, Black Lagoon delves into the depths of human morality and virtue. Witness Rokuro struggling to keep his values and philosophies intact as he slowly transforms from businessman to ruthless mercenary. So, Two things. The reason that I struggled with his name so bad is because everyone in the anime calls him Rock, which I can pronounce. So that's the reason it took me a minute, because everyone calls him Rock. So that's what my brain is like. His name is Rock. That's it. But anyway, not the point. So. Now, as far as rating, how clean or dirty is this anime? This is definitely an R, definitely mature. It's not for sexual content per se. It is for violence and profanity. The violence is really intense in this anime. There's lots of death, lots of blood, lots of gore and stuff, and the profanity is crazy. There's like F words every other sentence. There's a lot of swearing, especially in the dub. In the sub, there's less of it, but there is definitely a lot of swearing. But in the dub, there's a lot of swearing. So, which in some ways I actually preferred the dub for that reason. Which obviously it was in English, and so when they were trying to swear and stuff, it felt a little more natural. Like, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but regardless, there is a lot of swearing. So definitely mature rating for sure. Now, as far as genre, now you probably guessed it, of course, but this is action. That's what it's for. This is an action anime. And yeah, so if you are a fan of that type of thing, check it out. Now, season length. Now, there is 2 seasons in this anime, of course. There is also a, we'll get to that in a minute. So there is 2 seasons. There's 12 episodes in the first season, and then in the second season, which is called Black Lagoon, the Second Barrage, there is also 12 episodes. So a total of 24 across 2 seasons. Now, there is also a side series, an OVA side series, that follows a side character from this anime that I think it's 5. Sorry, I got distracted. Anyway, I think it's 5 episodes long. It's an OVA series that follows a side character, which I wasn't interested in, and so I didn't bother to watch it. But if you are interested in a character named Roberta, then check it out. Now, Roberta meant nothing to me, and I mean, she wasn't extra special to me, so I didn't bother. But if you like her, great. So. Now, as far as how long the episodes are, exactly what you'd expect. They're 24 minutes. There is nothing after the ending song plays. There's nothing else there. So I think sometimes there is like a preview, but for the most part, there's nothing special. So once this ending song hits, you are free to leave. Anyway, so moving into our character section. Now, characters in this one are pretty small. I'm going to introduce, of course, all of the main characters, and there is one supporting character, which it says supporting. I would take that with a grain of salt. She definitely feels like a main character to me. Now, so I will be introducing the 4 characters that it lists as main, and then one quote-unquote side character, and then that will be where I call it. So, of course, our first character, and definitely like however you want to call it, the alpha main character, is Revy. Revy is, of course, the crazy gun-toting maniac chick of Black Lagoon. She's really intense, she's really tough, and she is probably one of like the 2 main stars of the whole anime. She is big in it all the time. So as far as personality goes, I mean, Revy is really aggressive. You know, that she's obviously lived a hard life because she drops a few hints about her upbringing and what happened to her, and so it's no wonder that she turned out into such a hardened individual. It's not surprising at all. Now, and so obviously she is equally as tough. Now, as time goes on, you as the audience get better at like seeing who she is and like figuring out her personality, figuring out that maybe she's not as tough as she acts, you know, that there is more going on underneath. At first, maybe you don't think that, but by the end, you certainly do. And so, of course, Revy is one of the only 2 women that we will be talking about. She will be the easiest one. She is the dark-haired girl with the double guns and the shorts and the tank top shirt. That's her. Now, of course, that shouldn't be hard to figure out because she's one of 2 girls that we will be talking about today, and she is the main alpha main character. Because if there's like a tiers of main character, she's the highest one, whatever the highest. Because it says these two of these characters, it says main characters. Like in the last half the anime, they're in it far less, so it doesn't feel like they're main characters. But you know, I digress. So the next character, he is of course the main male character, so to speak, and his name. I mean, of course, we said his name earlier. It is Rokuro Okajima. I think is how you'd pronounce it, but everyone in the anime calls him Rock. Now, Now, he still wears his business suit back when he was a businessman in Japan. Now, of course, it is mostly about him. Now, he is not a fighter at all. For the most part, he's not a fighter. He doesn't get into fights. And the one thing that I didn't love about the synopsis is, as it was describing by the end, let me just reread one of the lines. Witness Rokuro struggling to keep his values and philosophies intact as he slowly transforms from businessman to ruthless mercenary. It says that, but he doesn't transform. He does have some, like, by the end, you could see he's different. You can see he's wired different. He's obviously very different from where he started, but he doesn't transform into ruthless mercenary. He's still a non-fighter. There is things that he does get hardened by, like, because in the city that they're in, Ronipur, there is lots of violence, and it's like lots of degenerates, and there's gangs, and there's mafias, and there's cartels, and it's madness. It's crime all the time. You're hearing gunshots. Everybody's corrupt. I mean, it's just the most corrupt city ever. Right? Well, and he gets used to that, right? So there is some hardening, but it's not like he goes from, like loser to fighter or anything. So I would, I would take that with a grain of salt. He transforms, like, mentally, but he's not going to turn into this, like, action hero. He's still a sissy. But regardless, he is a fine, likable character. I don't hate him. I just don't want to give you the impression that he transforms into, like, an action hero, because trust me, he doesn't. So anyway, as far as personality goes, it's kind of hard to say, because in the beginning, of course, he's used to survival, but in, like, of course, like the Japan business world, where it's just like put your head down, you kiss your boss's boots or whatever, and you just do what you're told. And then, as he transforms, he gets used to being, surrounded by these crazy mercenaries. He gets more used to being shot at, and he gets, and so he's ultimately a good guy, and it's kind of weird because he has this balance where he can balance between, like, the hardened criminal who doesn't really care if people die, to, like, you know what I mean? Not like hardened criminal, like he does anything wrong other than the fact that he's working with this mercenary company, but he's like, he can straddle it between, like, this the crime world of Ronipur, and then also, like, the straight and narrow where he does the good thing for the good reasons. And it's one thing that's interesting between Revi and him is Revi doesn't straddle that line. She is all the way in the red, all the way. She's all the way in, like, the crime world and the corruption, and she's not overly comfortable in, like, a straight and narrow upstanding world, and so for her, it's like this weird thing between Hui and Dewey. There is that she is, by the end, you wonder if she's kind of jealous that he can straddle the line and she can't. And you kind of wonder. And at first she's mad at him for it. At first she treats him like garbage for that reason. But later she just doesn't understand why that's the way it is. But she's not mad at him per se. Anywho, so there's also this weird unspoken love crush thing between them. They don't ever really expand upon that. So if you're expecting anything between Rock and Revi, don't bother. Because nothing happens in the anime. There's a little bit of unspokenness that you can kind of pick up on, and by the end, it becomes more and more obvious to you as the watcher. But I looked up, and it's not even expanded upon in the manga, from what I can tell. So I was hoping something would happen, but nothing does. So don't get too excited. So our next main character, of course, he's the only black male character. His name is Dutch. He is the leader of Black Lagoon, and he's awesome. He is really, really cool. Personality-wise, he is, he's the leader of a mercenary company for a reason, right? And they do all of these jobs, and he's unfazed. He is a fighter, obviously. He does fight and get in gun battles and all this stuff. And while Revi, like, revels in bloodshed, she just likes killing people. Dutch doesn't so much. Like, he doesn't, to me, seem like he's overly enthusiastic about shooting people. He does what he has to, and he's certainly not afraid to do it, but he's not, like, super excited to just go shoot things. And he's a really chill guy, that he is really good at reading people, that he can easily tell what's going on between, like, with when people need help and when they need to be backed off. He's good at slapping some sense into people when they're having a moment. He's really good about leading. He's a great leader, and he's really fun to watch, and everybody likes Dutch. You're always gonna like Dutch. He's awesome. So, moving into our next character, we have Benny. Benny is another non-fighter, and he is the tech genius guy of Black Lagoon. And he's like Rock, but I think he's harder because he's more used to being like shot at and stuff, and like the craziness doesn't phase him so much like it does Rock. And he is like the tech side. Now he's not a fighter, he's not going to pick up a gun and go shoot people, but he also is like really smart with the tech, and he totally helps out Dutch and Revy and everybody and Rock with tech stuff. And like I said, he's like Rock, but he's not so much of a sissy. He's not so phased by everything. And him and Rock actually have a lot of cool moments between each other as Benny like helps Rock get through things as Benny is getting more and more accustomed to, you know, this crazy crime world. And so it's nice. Now, for reference, he is the blonde dude, and I think he's wearing glasses, but I will have to open it in a new tab to be sure. Yes, he is the glasses-wearing blonde dude, and originally he's actually from Florida, so you can totally see where that's from. So, moving into our last character, it lists her as a side character. I disagree, but it lists her as a side character, but her name is Balalaika. Now, Balalaika is the leader of Hotel Moscow, which is the Russian mafia. She is the leader in Ronipur, and she is the big dog of Ronipur. Everyone knows this. So, I really like her. She is awesome. She is really intense. She's really scarred up because she fought in Afghanistan, and she led her Russian soldiers in Afghanistan, and then in the 80s. So then when the Soviet Union collapsed, she and her soldiers were just left. Obviously, they were abandoned, and so then instead of, you know, whatever, like abandoning each other and going to wherever they're from, like Russia, or going back home, or trying to, whatever, turn into a shopkeeper, whatever it was, they stuck by her, and she led them out. And so she led them. Obviously, eventually they ended up in Ronipur, and obviously somehow they became Russian mafia. But it's cool because Balalaika and her Russian guys, they don't act like mafia. They don't act like, you know, like the mob or gangsters. They act like soldiers, and they all refer to each other by their rank that they used when they were soldiers. And so it's cool because they all see each other as Russian soldiers, and it makes them incredibly formidable because in the crime world, everyone else acts like mobsters, and these guys act like, you know, soldiers. And so it's cool because they're awesome. So their relationship with each other is really cool. Now, Balalaika in personality is ruthless. She has no like sympathy for anybody except for her people. She has no sympathy for anyone except for her Russian soldiers. Now, by the end, her and Black Lagoon have a pretty cool relationship. They already worked with each other because Dutch and Balalaika work together, and she often hires them to do things. And by the end, you can see that maybe she does care for them a little bit, and you know, like maybe she does like them, but even though she does, it's not enough. It's not enough to like. It's not enough to spare them from harm, right? She likes them, but it's this weird. You're gonna have to watch it for it to make total sense. But like, people might like each other, but maybe not enough to not shoot at each other. You know what I mean? So it's kind of weird that way. But regardless, that's going to be our character list. There is lots of supporting characters in this anime, but in it lists Balalaika as a supporting character. I disagree. She's in a lot of it, especially in the second season. She's in like most every episode, or most every episode. And then in the first season, she's in there a lot too. So it just does not feel like she's a side character. So I'm going to label her as a main character. Regardless, so let's go ahead and move into our next section, which is favorite/most hated characters. So my favorite character is absolutely Balalaika. Balalaika and Revy. I love Balalaika and Revy. There's lots of cool characters, but they're definitely my favorite too. And whenever they're on screen, I am paying attention because I really, really like them. As far as most hated, I didn't really have any character that I hated. So sorry, I didn't really have any characters that I hated. So that is one section that, you know, that's one thing that we don't have to expand upon because I didn't really have anyone that I disliked. So moving on into animation and music. Now, the animation in this anime is really, really good. The gunplay, it feels really intense, and the explosions are good, and the bullets are good, and the animation is on point. And I think that's important for an action anime because if there's not romance or there's not whatever, it's important to have the, you know, so what is your main point? Well, the main point of it is it's a great action anime. So the animation has to be on point because this is what a lot of people are going to initially be attracted by. is by the action, by the the gunfights and all that stuff, right? Well, this anime does a great job of that. The action is on point, and the animation is really, really good, and it totally reflects that, which is fun. Now, as far as the music is good. In anime, the music is nothing like insane in the membrane, but the opening song is really good. It's like it perfectly describes how the anime is gonna feel, and the closing song is like very different. It's very how do I describe it? It's very kind of somber. It's like very somber, kind of sad, and like every time the music hits, you're like, oh, I'm so sad. Like, what's happened? And so it's nothing that you stick around too long for, because it's not, it's nothing incredibly positive. So anyway, and so sorry guys, I was having some random back pain. It's like it hurts so bad, it like literally knocks the breath out of you. Oh my gosh, my back's killing me. Anyway. So, other than that, though, moving on to our final rating and recommendation, I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 5. Very good. This anime made no mistakes worth noting, and is definitely worth a buy. And so, it's interesting, though, because that is the same rating that I gave it the first time I watched it years and years and years ago. That was the same rating I gave it then. And it's still accurate, that it's the same rating I gave it then, and it's still true. The anime is really good. If you're an action fan, if you're looking for something with some good action for you, this is that anime. So, of course, recommendation, I do recommend it. If you're a fan of other action anime, whether it's specifically about gunfights, or whether it's just you like action and fighting in general, this anime, you're gonna like it. And so long as you're not bothered by swearing or violence, then you're gonna like it. If you're looking for something action, but you want a lot of romance elements to it, I would pass, because the action's great, but they don't expand upon the unspoken relationship thing between Rock and Revy. They don't expand on that, and there is no romance to be found. So if you are someone that's looking for like an action with a romance, I wouldn't bother. It's not really here. So, but the action's great though. So yeah, that is going to call it for this one. It's I think it's pretty informative, and it's great. It's awesome. So of course, I am already working on our next. I'm working on the next anime. It will take probably not too incredibly long, because it's only one season, and then the sequel is actually a movie, so I'll only have to watch that like in one sitting, obviously. So I don't expect the next one to take like crazy long. So yeah, it shouldn't be too crazy long, but I don't know, of course, when it'll be exactly. And then, anyway, so yeah, right after this, I will be recording the next part of our Trooper playthrough on Star Wars The Old Republic, which will be fantastic. So if you are interested, you are more than welcome to check that out. Anyway, and so as far as this weekend is concerned, I don't know if it's going to be a recording weekend. At this particular moment, I'm leaning towards probably not. My only reason why is because, A, I have some homework due for school, but B, because there is something I want to figure out behind the scenes as far as like sound is concerned. I had an idea about what I could do to increase quality and sound, and it's going to take lots of trial and error, but I have an idea. So this weekend I would love to iron that out, because if I try it and it works great, then that will be my new system for making videos, and it will be in place Monday. So that type of process tends to take a long time, so this is probably will not be a recording weekend, but of course crazier things have happened, so it is possible, I suppose. Anyway, that is going to call it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today, and we will talk to you guys later.